What's up, guys? Welcome to a new edition of the Early Print Podcast, and we're here to review UFC 319, Plessis versus Chimaev. We'll be talking about some fight announcements, and also I'll be talking about two events or maybe three, depending on how you define them. That are happening from the UFC brand later this week. And that doesn't include Dana White's Contender Series. So we have a very grueling schedule when it comes to UFC this week, but we'll get into that later. Let's talk about the pay-per-view. So last Saturday we have UFC 319 in Chicago, Illinois, in the United Center. We have Plessis defending his middleweight championship against Hamzat Chimaev. Um, so I'll be talking about my predictions, what I got right, what I got wrong, and also let's talk about just the fights in general. So when it comes to the main event, Hamza Chimaev defeats Dricos Du Plessis by decision. That was a surprise to many. I myself picked Hamza by decision, but I'm not patting myself in the back like too hard because I expected this hard to be a bit harder. I knew there was a possibility that Chimaev was either like getting a super early submission or winning a very dominant blowout like it was the case. But I was like siding more on like I was expecting what happened in 5 round to in round 5 to happen early, to be honest. But let's do like a quick recap. She might The takedowns were too fast. Something interesting that he was opting to take Duplessis down in the middle of the cage for most of this fight, which is interesting. I feel like Chimaev has had a preference to operate against the fence most of the time. I'm guessing like Duplessis was having the right idea of holding the center of the cage. Chimaev was kind of uncomfortable with that and just went for the takedowns. But Chimaev showed like good grappling from top in the center. What he lacked was like a lot of damage. Mm, that like the thing that like called the attention for most people was that Chimaev was able to get like crucifix a lot. I think he broke the record for most crucifix positions in a fight, but he was not able to do like a lot of damage there. You can tell like Duplessis is strong. He was like kind of hard to hold down, and also like another thing that was like that has been like making contention that Duplessis was like hiding everything except the back of his head, so Chimaev was not able to hit him, and there that has sparked that, and some stand-ups by Goddard have sparked discussion about like the philosophy of MMA, how much it is supposed to emulate a legitimate fight. But I think at this stage, like MMA, it's a sport. It's the closest we have to a real fight, But at the same time, it is a sport. Like doesn't matter the rules you put, like the athletes are going to game the rules. So I think we gotta do what we gotta do. um while I didn't like quite agree with the stand-ups, especially the first one, I think it was like kind of dirty by Godard. But according to the rules, like if you're on the ground and you're not advancing to a finish, it's up to the discretion of the referee to send you up. So actually, maybe the word dirty that I used against Godard was not like quite right. I think he was among his faculties as a referee to stand them up there, because Shimaev was like content to just like holding position and landing like pity patter ground and pound. Not that Shimaev was not winning from that position, but he was like clearly you could very argue that he was not advancing to finish the fight from there. So yeah, Duplessis got a bit better as the fight went on at defending the takedown, especially the initial shot. I feel like he was very bad at defending the initial shot, and that's why Chimaev was able to like eventually just like chain wrestle him to the ground, especially because Chimaev, and this has been talked about, but and I myself talk about like why Chimaev takes people down um despite some like shots that look kind of bad at times, especially because like he collapses his posture, he goes to his knees way too early. Uh, he looks down, but he has a very quick shot and he adjusts very well. One thing that he does is that his shot is so quick that he's usually able to like have options to both legs, so he can transition. But most importantly, he turns the corner so aggressively, so he always wins angles that and that gives him options to take people down. Duplessis had his moments in round five. He was he able to be like on mount for a while? I think he had like a he took the back at one moment, went for a guillotine. People were giving him shit, but he was like 50-40 down, so like the guillotine was like you gotta at least try to finish the fight at that moment, right? But yeah, this fight was like Chimaev, who is like a well put together fighter with a very specific skill set, against Duplessis, who is like not only a generalist, but also like very very janky and has like gotten to the top of the division via athleticism and also like being like tactically smart and strategically smart. I don't think this was a very good showing when it comes to preparation by the Duplessis camp. But I feel the thing is that the technique was not there to deal with Chimaev. I think he had some good ideas, especially if you consider that he was being taken down in the middle of the cage. It's a good sign for the preparation of Duplessis, like tactically and strategically at least. He was not ready for the shots at all. And tactically, there's a lot to criticize too. He was not using shots that were like in any way like helping him to intercept Chimaev. He could have gone for like very low, like straight rights to the body, that kind of stuff. But yeah, um, it shows the limits to the jankiness of Duplessis. What's next for Chimaev? Probably what the UFC wants is the winner of Imavov and Kayo that they are fighting in UFC in France in a while, right? After that, we have interesting like contenders in like RDR and Fluffy because they are good grapplers. Fluffy especially I feel it's more compelling because he's a better wrestler. Not a better wrestler than Chimaev, but it's a better wrestler than Renner the Reader. Who I feel it's going to be get like laid on top. His cardio is not great too. Like Fluffy, I feel like he has like the matchup. Like there's a chance that Fluffy gets killed early by Chimaev, either on the feet or on the ground. But if it goes long, like I give an advantage to Fluffy, and that's more than I can say for most of the division, especially after seeing what Chimaev did to Whitaker, what he did to Duplessis here. So yeah, that's it. Co-main event has saw Ron Murphy welcoming Aaron Pico to the UFC. So yeah, a lot of people were very very excited about Pico. I thought he brought some troubles to the table against Murphy. I predicted Murphy by decision. Murphy got a spinning back elbow, the second one in a row in the event. We'll get into the first one later. But yeah, the big thing about this fight is that Pico is not completely like incompetent when it comes to pressure. He actually like tracks people well around the cage. He cuts the movement off, but he has problem with making like just like very big entries. Pico like very trusts his ability to like bang it out in the pocket or wrestle people down, which he is very good at both. Like he's not like a super nuanced wrestler inside the pocket, but he throws with like great mechanics and he's a great athlete. So he is like usually just sparks people. He goes to the body a lot, which I love. But Murphy was getting a read on those entries. He was landing big strikes. He landed a big elbow after a body shot. First, he landed a nasty knee during a takedown entry by Pico, and then finished the fight with the spinning back elbow. And it was that my prediction was that Murphy was going to be able with his jab and his linear tools and movement to control the pace of the fight. We didn't get to that point because like he was able to time Pico on entry like numerous times, and Pico was not like changing up the modum operandis here. And he got like killed with that elbow, especially because like Pico went for that like he squares his stance to like then leap into the lead hook to get like that extra like bit of distance to just like step into the big hook, and Murphy just stepped to the side, spinning elbow, connected clean, put him completely out. Pico is still good. He's still young. 5 losses is not that bad. It's kind of sucks that he has been knocked out so much. But this level of competition was too high for him right now, especially because like yeah, Pico has been like improving a lot. He has been patching some of his mistakes, but at the same time, he some people are like, oh, he has been fighting like the last guy. I mean, the last like super good guy that he fought was you could argue that it was Borix, and Boris is like not as good as Murphy, and that was a while ago. And also, he lost that fight, even though he was winning. He got sparked. So, so yeah, Pico needs a step down in competition for sure, man. Probably the UFC maybe doesn't want that because he's asking for money, and when someone asks for money, they just give them like hard fights. The UFC doesn't like to give money for free. But yeah, Carlos Prates fought Jeff Neal. I predicted Prates by decision. He got the spinning back elbow in the first round. My read was that Prates was like more comfortable in the close stance matchup because this was Southpaw versus Southpaw, and and it was a bit of the case of that. And also like the big things, the Prates has just too much going for him in this matchup. First, I felt like he was better in the close stance because he's comfortable kicking the legs. Um, he has a better jab than Jeff Neal. He has a better right hand than Jeff Neal for sure. Jeff Neal is very like left hand dependent. Um, he's also the longer guy, and Jeff Neal has struggled with long guys with volume like throughout his career. I mentioned that on my preview. It's not that this is a good tool to like make a prediction by its own, but it's something that you have to consider, and you can look into that, right? If I tell you like, okay, Jeff Neal has lost to Wonderboy, to Shavkat, to there was another one, and then his only knockout before this one was to Kevin Holland on the regional scene. So and then you actually watch the fights, and yeah, Jeff Neal like doesn't like the super long guys that keep active, because he wants to get into exchanges, and he has trouble like closing in the gap against like long guys that. And Ian Gary was the other one that beat him, even though that one was super close. But you can tell that this is not a matchup that he likes a lot. Um, and yeah, Prates looking sketchy at times because Jeff Neal was trying to pressure, and I think that was the right idea. Prates was like moving a lot around the cage to avoid him. Then he started like settle down, started using like the threat of like kicks and elbows and knees to win space. He was like getting defensive reads on Neal, evading and pivoting back to open space. So Prates was like getting better as the round went on, and then Prates started like finding answers to the defense of Neal. And one big thing that Prates found was that he was started punching off his knees. He started like establishing these like big knees to the body, and then like he realized that Neal was like blocking down and moving back. So Prates was going with like showing the big knee and punching off that same side, and he was like starting to catch Neal with those. Then at the end of the fight, he launches in with a big elbow from range. Then they meet again, and he spins into the back elbow. A second left into the round. It was crazy, man. It was a knockout of the year for me, better than the Leroy Murphy one. Um, better than the slam from last week, and better than Topuria versus Oliveira, to be honest, which are like the contenders for knockout of the year, right? This one for me takes the cake, man, and great for Pratis, man. Hope Jeff Neal is okay. That one looked rough, man, but a fantastic showing by Pratis. MVP fought Jared Cannonier. I predicted MVP by decision. I was correct. And this was exactly what I thought. Like I thought that Jared Cannonier was going to buy into the bullshit, and was going to have like a low volume affair with MVP, who always wins those kind of fights. And I also predicted that Cannonier was probably going to win a round, finding something eventually, and he won the third round with a like even not even a takedown, like MVP like getting sloppy and like just zipping going into range, and then Cannonier got on top and was able to dominate but not finish the fight because like MVP is very good at stalling when he finds himself on bottom. MVP on this fight was like clip farming like crazy, man. He was trying to get on every kid's TikTok, man, with the dances every time that he was landing. He kind of hurt Cannonier a few times, like not super bad, but he was like he actually won the fight. Like it was not like all smokes and mirrors. But yeah, I think Cannonier could have fought like a good fight here, especially if he went more of the route of like pressuring into leg kicks instead of like just like bad takedown entries, which he has never been good at taking people down off bad entries. So Team Elliott fought Kai Asakura. I predicted Asakura by decision via having like the more damaging fight, the more damaging moments on the feet. That kind of played out on the first round, but then Team Elliott like started like getting reads and his awkward movement. He was starting like setting up big overhands, he was winning on the feet on the second round, and then he got well, like one big takedown. Sakura was very quick to get back to his feet, but then he baited him. Like Sakura got impatient, lunged in with a big right hand, squaring his stance. Tim Elliott beautiful takedown there, and he starts working on the ground. I think he went to mount at one moment. I don't quite remember finishing the sequence. I do remember that uh, Sakura like got into a guillotine, one arm guillotine by Elliot. He was like very deep, and then Elliot actually finished with the two hands from mounted guillotine, kind of similar to that one that Joseph Benavides got Team Elliot on. Didn't Team Elliot have Joe B first on a guillotine in that fight? I don't quite remember, but I think that actually happened. Crazy stuff, crazy stuff. But yeah, great for Team Elliot because he's up there in age and he looked great in this fight. Like obviously, like he's very awkward and he is like kind of janky, but he's good, man. Especially because he mixed in the wrestling at he was like maybe he knows that he's now kind of old and he just can't like go and pursue takedowns like from the gate. He draws his striking more to get him there, which is like fair. Yeah, he looked good here. It was a good showing. On the feature fight of the prelims, we saw Bison versus Urkayev, which who won a fight on Contender Series just on Tuesday. He fought like newcomer Eric Nolan, who was a welterweight champion in Cage Fury, I think. And this fight was kind of a mess. So Surkayev very dynamic and he like fights very calm and confident, but Eric Nolan was like finding success, man. One thing that I liked about Nolan was that if you watch tape, Eric Nolan like his best punch by far is the left hook, and what he was doing here is was like maybe he knew that Suzuki was going to be like worried about the left hook, so Nolan was doing a lot of work of just like slapping the left hook and using it to slap into a collar tie and going with a big right uppercut of that, which I thought was a very neat idea. And he was catching Suzuki a lot. Like I thought he won the first round, especially because he hurt Suzuki bad after getting hurt himself at the end of the first. But then the second round, Nolan got his like leg badly hurt by the leg kicks of the Surkaev. I think it was all like inside leg kicks, which you don't see like guys like super hurt getting to like finish a territory with those often, but it happened. And then Suzuki yeah got to the back mount, maintained it, got a rear naked choke. Good for him and good. Both guys I feel are good additions to the UFC. I'm not super high like Dana. I'm like, oh, I haven't been this excited about a guy in years. Like we had Dilia Topuria in the last few years. We have I don't know Jan Silva, Kevin Vallejos. I don't know. I don't think Surkaev is like the most impressive prospect in any prolonged amount of time. But he's good. He's doing good. No, don't get me wrong. But I think the hype was overhyped, especially seeing how he got hurt here by Nolan, who a welterweight and took this on super short notice. And Nolan was the disadvantageous one for sure here. And Suzuki like cleared the test, but it didn't look like a future champion here. Not saying that he's not going to be, but I wouldn't put my eggs on that basket like right now, right? Before that, we saw Michal Oleksiejczuk against. By the way, I picked Suzuki by knockout on round one. It was a submission on round two. Michal Oleksiejczuk fought Gerard Mearshart. Both guys who I like a lot. Both guys follow me on Twitter, by the way. Now, but while I've been a fan of both guys for a long time, I predicted that Michal was going to get the knockout on the first round. And I feel like another case of like Southpaw versus Southpaw, and I felt like Oleksiejczuk was more comfortable in that matchup for sure. I feel like Miroshard is more used to using like uh, double attacks, open side attacks, the classic like Southpaw traps, open stance traps, while Oleksiejczuk is more of a combination boxer, and it was the case. Oleksiejczuk some cool combinations at times here. Landed like I think Mirsha was like in the finishing sequence. I mean the finishing sequence on the feet. Like Mirsha like I think either jab or like was trying to frame, and Oleksiejczuk went like overhand over the frame, went with the lead right, and finish again with the overhand, like cross countering over that frame. And then on the ground, like Oleksiejczuk, like he might not be like a top level grappler, but he has nasty ground and pound, and he showed that here. I thought that Herdin took his sweet time finishing this, stopping this one, man. I thought he could have stopped that like a few seconds earlier. Lupita Godinez fought Jessica Andrade. Andrade too slow here. Clearly won the third though. Um, and I think she had an argument to win another one. I think the first, but yeah, she was like getting tagged too much and was not going to the body as often. No, not a lot of defense. But then Lupita started like falling apart during the third round. But yeah, it's kind of sad. I was predicting that Andrade was like Andrade. I said on my preview was short, but not short enough to lose like this kind of matchup, and it turned out that she kind of was. But I knew the matchup was like good for her, that she was going to engage in the places that she likes. She was the bigger puncher, and that all turned out to be true. But at the same time, I felt like there was a big chance that Godinez was going to be able to have the better output and win like that, and that was the case. Alexander Hernandez fought Chase Hooper. I predicted Hooper by decision here. I was completely wrong. But I said on my preview that Hernandez had like the physicality and the skills to win this one. I feel like he was like there's a better fighter somewhere in there for Hernandez than Chase Hooper is right now. And that was true. The thing that I was not trusting Hernandez to pull it off, man. But he really showed up, and he like really confirmed that he was the more like he had the best mix of physicality and skills here than Hooper, because I think he didn't like quite. I mean, not the wrong game plan, obviously. Like it clearly worked, and you can see why it makes sense the game plan that Hernandez was playing. He was like playing on the outside, from super outside, and he was like trying to blitz on Hooper or force him to run into counters. Actually, that's a good game plan. I thought that he could have gotten on Hooper's face because like Hooper doesn't have like great defense, right? But the defense is also exposed when they are attacking. Very dying moments of the first round, like Hooper just runs into a like straight right, which flirts him, and Hernandez follows up like very well for the finish here. Very good for Hernandez, man. I'm glad. Hernandez, I feel like has a lot of haters, but I quite like him, man. He's a bit of a head case, but he's like interesting, and I like him, to be honest. I feel like if anything, he's more too much of an overthinker. And he said before this fight, like he was trying to not do that. He was like trying to not think during camp, just like train and just flow. And I think that works better for him for sure. Drakkar Close fought Edson Barbosa. I was predicting Barbosa by decision because I feel like Drakkar Close just like loses the plot of fights often, and I thought that Barbosa was going to be able to like just take over as the fight went on. Barbosa, I think he kind of won that third round, but so I was correcting that, but at the same time, Barbosa looked dreadful here. It doesn't. Not that he looked like the worst fight ever. Not that he didn't look like UFC level, but compared to what he was, that was not it, man. I thought especially that not being back at 155 was going to revitalize him a bit, but it wasn't the case at all. Drakkar Closer was just like roughing him up in in the pocket when he was pushing forwards. He was finding like right hands, like naked straight right hands. Like they were clean, to be honest. And Barbosa was not like picking up on defensively on much of the stuff of Close was doing. But then Close got worse as the fight went on, despite having this like roughing people roughing guys up style. Uh, but yeah, Close is gonna close, right? Carini Silva fought Diony Barbosa. Uh, this is a rematch. Could never find the original fight, but I was expecting Barbosa to like be cleaner on the feet and then be like more dominant if they went to the ground, especially because Barbosa has like better priorities on the ground, I feel. And and yeah, this one was very close. I think you can score that for the Oni for sure. Surprisingly, all judges agreed on a 29-28 for Carini. Carini like was like winning off her back at times because Barbosa got super tired. She took this on very short notice. Carini Silva was supposed to fight JJ Aldrich initially, and Barbosa looked very good on that first round, and then fall apart, man. Like she quite doesn't have the cardio, and Carini Silva not great cardio either, man. So I think these girls are like both. I feel like are very interesting. Carini Silva is now with Fighting Nurse. I don't know who Diony Barbosa trains with, but it seems like her training situation, at least when it comes to technique and tactics, is pretty solid, man. But I feel like the ceiling is going to be determined by the lack of conditioning by both, especially because like they are very good, but and Carini Silva, which I feel like is the worst of the two, might get farther because at least she has a more dynamic, like finding finishing style than Barbosa. Not that Barbosa cannot finish a fight, but I feel like Carini Silva is more dynamic like that. But yeah, I feel like I personally felt like Barbosa won this fight, but it was close enough. This was not a robbery. And the opener was Joseph Morales against Alivi Idris. Made a video about Alivi Idris. I was very high on him. Picked him to win by decision. This was the Ultimate Fighter flyweight final. The welterweight final was canceled. I don't know if Cesinando or Donchenko got injured. I'm not sure. But yeah, here I was completely off. Joseph Morales looked great here. The pressure, the boxing, the transitions into the wrestling, everything was fantastic. Hats off to Morales. Zero hate. I thought Morales was very cool. I actually wrote quite a lot in my preview about both of these guys because I was like very hype about this final. Idris did not live up to my expectations, but I'm not going to like say, oh, Alibi looked bad. I'm not going to cope like that. I still think that uh, Alibi has good potential for the division. Maybe less than I thought for sure. But Morales here, man. All props to Morales here. He looked great. He looked great. I love the body shots, man. I was loving that. Like I wanted Idris to win because like I got invested. Like I think he's very cool. But Morales, like, and Morales already, I already like him, but he won me over in this fight. I was like kind of rooting for him at the end because he was just doing cool stuff, man. And some days, like you gotta stop marrying your picks. And that's why I don't bet, right? Because if I had money on this, like I would be suffering, man. But because I just enjoy the fights, I was like, yeah, let's go, Joseph Morales, get the bag, man. Yeah, it was cool, and that was the event. It was actually pretty fun, man. If you haven't seen like the whole card, I think like Chimaev versus Duplessis, not super. That was a good watch live because you were always expecting what's going to happen on the next round, even though it was very samey. I think it doesn't like quite live up on rewatch or if you know the result. Murphy versus Pico was very good. Pratis versus Neal was fantastic. Maybe fight of the night. Michael Page versus Canyoniri had moments, but it was like kind of dull overall. Team Elliott versus Kaya Sakura was very good. Suzukai versus Nolan was fun. Or Exchange versus Mirashar was fun. Godinez versus Andrade was okay, was decent. Hernandez versus Hooper was not great, but the finish was very cool. Dracar Cruz versus Edson Barbosa was kind of sad, to be quite honest. Corey Silva versus Barbosa it started like good and then it was got kind of messy, not that good. Morales put on a fantastic performance, so that's the event. I thought it was pretty good. Let's get into some fight announcements and we'll move into other stuff. So, uh, Tumen Demberel was supposed to fight Irei Suruya here. Uh, this going on this Friday. I'll be talking about that. Um, I'll clarify what I'm talking about here later. But yeah, Rey Suruya sadly is out, and now Tumen Demberel is fighting Terrence Saturn. Uh, I don't know anything about this guy, but Tumen Demberel is an interesting prospect. What else do we have? Norma Dumont was supposed to fight Raquel Pennington at Noche UFC, and now Rocky is out and filling in is Caitlin Vieira. This one is Caitlin Vieira versus Norma Dumont should still be for the number one contender here. Vieira put more put more resistance against, like way more resistance against our champion. I'm blanking on the name of our champion, man. Judo girl. I'm so sorry, man. But yeah, more than Holly Holm and Juliana Pena. So I don't think that it's like completely off to give Caitlin Vieira a title shot. But if Norma Dumont wins, which I think she she probably will here, I think she deserves a title shot for sure. And Kyla Harrison. Can't believe I blanked on Kyla Harrison of all people, man. But yeah, Norma Dumont versus Kyla Harrison actually I feel is very compelling. People I feel like are kind of sleeping on Norma Dumont because she doesn't have like the super like dynamic. I mean, she's a very good athlete, but she doesn't have like super eye catching style. Uh, she does quite a lot of things that I do enjoy though, especially in the clinch. Uh, Running people into left hooks. Big kicker she is. I like Norma Dumont a lot. And she might have a style that it's complicated for Kyla Harrison over 5 rounds. And Caitlin could do some stuff over 5 too. Like she had moments against Kyla more than anyone else since Kyla was losing to Pacheco in the PFL, man. Uh, this one is kind of rough. Daniel Santos was supposed to fight Du Ho Choi, which was like fantastic fight, right? Even though I felt like Du Ho Choi deserved to fight someone like up the ladder. And Daniel Santos in on that Korean hate tour, man. He's coming off that like I don't remember the name of the guy, but he was fighting this like long kickboxer from Korea that was very fun to watch, and they had a banger, one of the best fights of the year. Willie Cat moving up to featherweight. So yeah, Willie Cat was supposed to fight Du Ho Choi. Du Ho Choi is out, and instead of him, we have Ju Sang Yu, Zombie Junior, who some of you might remember because he killed Jeka Saragi with a left hook on entry, like single strike, fantastic knockout. And yeah, Daniel Santos was supposed to fight this very like high level guy, very well regarded. I think he's ranked at Duhushoy. I don't know. And now he gets like this uber prospect. It's kind of rough for him, right? But if he wins, like his stakes still rise. Good for Willie Cat at featherweight because he looked fantastic, man. And I'm excited about this fight. After fighting Dan Ige, the UFC seems kind of mad with Patricio Pitbull, so they're making him fight Losen Keita, and Keita is was double champion in Octagon at lightweight and featherweight, so he has that in common with Patricio Pitbull. They're maybe like making that to promote this, like the double champion versus double champion. I'm not familiar at all with Keita. I've heard that he doesn't have grappling at all. But if he has like takedown defense and they scrap on the feet, like if you make Pitbull fight, it's going to be a good fight, right? Most of the fight, I think. And maybe Pitbull can find a takedown just to beat him. But yeah, I mean, I thought he was going to get a big step up after beating Ige, but I guess the UFC is like kind of mad that he lost to Jair. Won a close fight to Ige, so this feels like a bit of a punishment. Um, and a big opportunity for Keita to make a name out of himself, right? Keeping on the trend of making champions fight champions, former PFL and Bellator champion, was he PFL champion ever? Pachi Mix is fighting Jakub Wiklacz, uh, and he's a former KSW champion, or current, but he's not going to be champion when he fights at the UFC. But yeah, this is going on at UFC 320. Yeah, Pachi Mix, I have no idea. Also, the UFC consumes me so much that I don't have time to watch like Octagon or KSW. I sometimes catch like a Cage Warriors fight or a LFA fight, but yeah, I mean I'm not super familiar with the European circuit. So you guys let me know in the comments how good Jacob is, and if Pachimix will win this one or not. Jamie Mularkey is fighting Rolando Bedoya, and I only had like two thoughts about this one. First, banger. This one is going to fucking rule. And second one, it's very clear that the loser here is going to get caught, which is kind of sad. Like I like both of these guys like quite a lot, but but yeah. But I like this fight. It's good. It's going to be fun. And finally, David Martinez was supposed to fight Carlos Vera, but Carlos Vera is out. Stepping in is Kwang Lee, which like still very cool. It remains a cool fight. So this one is going on at Noche UFC on September 13th. Now, we have Contender Series on Tuesday, and then on like Friday morning, like super early in the morning, we have the Road to UFC finals. And this one has two UFC bouts. So just very quick recap here. We have the opener at 170. We have Zhang against Kid Campbell. And then we have these are not finals, all of them, right? Or are they? I'm actually not sure. I saw the previous Road to UFC fight, but I don't remember. Like, I'm not keeping track of the tournament. But we have at 125, we have Choi Jin against Aaron Tao. I remember Aaron Tao. Mostly because he has like Maori tattoos on his face, very particular look. At 135, we have Lawrence Louis against Van Giem. At 145, we have Shang Min Yoon against Sebastian Saleh. Yeah, we have. This one is 125, so these are semifinals, I'm guessing. Yeah, these are semifinals for sure. At 125, we have Aguilali against Bat Bayar. At 155, we have Don Marfan against Ye Hyun Park. 135, we have Sula Granbo against Sam Kai Xiong. 155, Yawei Ren against Sanguk Kim. 145, we have Kai Wen Lee against Keishiro Nakamura. Kai Wen Lee, which I think was a finalist on last year Road to UFC, so he's back here. And the both UFC bouts that we have in this event are Tumen Demberel against Terence Saturn, which I already mentioned. And our main event, which is scheduled for only 3 rounds, is Ming Shi against Bruna Brazil. So Ming Shi, quite the following because she got like that big head kick knockout on her Road to UFC final. She got that earned him the title last year. And she's like very popular because of her social media presence. She's a doctor, a medical doctor, and she plays Street Fighter with Zangief, so people love her for that. I don't quite love her because she's like undersized for strawweight, and I usually like undersized fighters, except when they can get their game going. She's not super exciting. Like you see that fight before the head kick, and she was like kind of getting washed, and was not very fun. Yeah, I'm not on the Ming Shi train, guys. I'm sorry, man. Actually, like she's a doctor, man. I root for the guys that come from down, man. That's why I was rooting for Leron Murphy against Aaron Pico. And Leron Murphy was getting shot while Aaron Pico was like traveling around the world, getting the best coaches and shit. I gotta root for my boy Leron in a situation like that, dog. And then Saturday morning too. And I'll get up for this one. This one starts like at 3 a.m. So I'm going to just like wake up for this one to do like fight companion because the fights are very good and I don't want to miss this. My girlfriend is going to kill me, man, because she has to work at the on Saturday. So I don't know what I'm going to do, man. Gotta have a talk with her. But yeah, we have UFC Fight Night on. Oh, let me change the picture here. We have UFC Fight Night on Shanghai. Um, Johnny Walker versus Ming Yang Shang. Uh, and we have a co-main event: Brian Ortega versus Aljamain Sterling. Also 5 rounds, which like as long as I know, because in here in Topology it had them booked for 3. I hope it is true that it's for 5, man. But yeah, this card is crazy, man. We have Nurgoshai versus welcoming no, not welcoming. This guy won on Contender Series, if I'm not wrong. Satil Valdiev the opener. Then we have Long Xiao versus Su Yong Yu. Yu is very cool, and it's always funny because you can make jokes about him on Twitter, like, "Oh, you have very good single leg." We have Ji Sha against Westin Wilson. Michel Pereira is fighting Kyle Dawkins, who is back in the UFC. Rong Zhu is fighting Austin Hobart. Banger of a fight. Loney Kavanagh is back against Charles Johnson. Like, absolute banger, man. Maheshate is fighting Ghosh Young. Uh, Nuraji is fighting Kiefer Crosby at welterweight. Sumo Derji is fighting El Gallo Negro Kevin Borjas, another certified banger. Sergey Pavlovich is putting his ranking on the line against Waldo Cortez Acosta. Which, like, I'm not usually excited about Waldo Cortez Acosta, but, like, Pavlovich, he's here to bang. And then we have Ortega versus Sterling, and the main event, Johnny Walker versus Mingyang Zhang. So this one is a very solid fight night. Excited about this one. So if I have to like wake up at like 2 a.m. in the morning to do Fight Companion, and if any of you guys are going to join me, like be my guest, man. But yeah, that's it, guys. That's it for the pay per view. That's it for the podcast. Oh man, I thought I was not recording for a while there. Remember to follow the channel, subscribe, leave a comment. I'll be doing a video about the limits of jankiness. Still, probably gonna title it like something like clickbaity, like "Oh, the problem with jank in MMA" or something. But I'll be talking about the limitations of having like poor technique despite having like athleticism and good tactics and strategy, using Rico's Duplessis as a starting point. And we'll be talking about that. It will be more of a like a video essay than more of like the more to the point videos that I've been doing lately. Remember to watch my video about Hamza Chimaev striking. I'm going to be like putting him around here, I think, somewhere in the screen right now. Remember to go get your merch, get your body punching crew t-shirts or other of the cool designs on our store at Fourth Wall. Remember to join the Patreon for exclusive content. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me as always, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.